마지막 방법이 남아있으니까.
Yeah, we the backpacker. Check up on Anne couldn't touch me, the backpacker. Urinin backpackers. Yeah, we the backpackers. Tegamu don shimbare pari jodu backpacker. Urinin backpackers. At the very start of the year, Study Group was creating a buzz in the K-drama community with people comparing the drama to its webtoon counterpart. So I told myself I'm going to hold myself back and read the book before the movie. But then I slipped up and started episode 1. When I tell you I couldn't stop until I was done, I didn't even turn my stiff butt. That is how good it was. All elements of a webtoon are perfectly incorporated into the show. So what's the deal with Study Group? More importantly, why did no one warn me that this wasn't your regular high school drama? When I started it, I was expecting a chill, school-based, coming-of-age story, but suddenly fists were flying. Textbooks and bags were being used as weapons. And this mild-mannered protagonist is here pulling MMA moves like no one's business. Since I've already started yapping about Study Group, let me give you a glimpse of why you should watch the show. So the film follows Yoon Gamin, a student who desperately wants to study, but the entire universe is trying to stop him. The show starts in a classroom where the teacher is teaching, but everyone is sleeping, except for one person. Guess who it is? Drumroll please. Do-do-do-do-do. You've got it right. Yoon Gamin, our protagonist. In a class where everyone is sleeping, he is attentively listening and jotting down notes. The teacher then goes like, everyone is stupid in this class. I'm pretty sure no one understands. And the thing is, the teacher is not wrong because despite the fact that Yoon Gamin is seriously listening and writing notes, that is all he is good at. Listening and writing. Literally. That's when we came to the first realization. Our protagonist is stupid. I'm not trying to insult him. Yoon Gamin is just dumb. You know that kid in class who is always studying, never engages in gossip or noise making, listens to the teacher, has all the notes but still leads from behind? Yeah, that's our protagonist. For years, Yoon Gamin has been putting his everything into studying to get a good grade, but unfortunately for him, he's always second to last. He has been revising at school, he has been asking other classmates, he even got himself a tutor, but it was all in vain. So, in his desperation to go to college, he hears a passing rumor that going to a certain high school would make it possible for him to go to college. That is how Yoon Gamin ends up at Yuseong Technical High. First day at school, he is happy, filled with adrenaline. He shows up to his class, and the moment he opens the door to his class, his dreams flash right before his eyes. The school he had hoped would fulfill his dreams of studying and going to college is a den of gangsters. So now he thinks to himself, since this school is filled with delinquents, if I study hard enough, I will be able to get good grades. Well, that ends up being another crushed dream. This doesn't stop Gamin and he decides, I'm going to find someone to study with. And this actually ends up being easy since he's able to pinpoint someone who looks like they want to study among all the delinquents who aren't even wearing this correct school uniform. This is where we are introduced to the second main character, Kim Se-hyun. Gamin gets up to try and talk to this student, but all hell breaks loose. And we are now introduced to the system. It turns out in this school, there is an app that grades the students not on their academic scores, but rather on how good of a fighter they are. Interesting, right? So the fight dies out with Kim Se-hyun's grade on the app dropping. And class starts. It turns out the previous homeroom teacher had quit in less than a month, and now the class is getting a new temporary homeroom teacher. The appearance of this teacher gives us the third main character, Lee Han-kyung Song-seung-nim. Remember the tutor? Yeah, it's her. See how things are connected here? That is how things are connected in the entire show. So the teacher starts class and another problem arises. A villain is born and he uses his physical strength to show everyone who is the boss. It becomes so obvious that no one really cares about the teacher or the class, but this villain is the one controlling the class. If you've gotten to this point, Ebu, subscribe faster before we continue. Have you subscribed? Have you subscribed? Thank you. So, after class, Gamin goes over to Han Kyung Sem to say hi because remember she used to be his tutor, and she asks him how his studies are going, and he claims he has a plan. Guess what the plan is? Drum roll, please. Do. You are right again. The plan is to start a study group. The first person Gamin has decided to enroll into his study group is Kim Se-hyun, who blatantly refuses. But if this was going to stop our protagonist from going after his dreams, he would have never kept studying despite his poor grades. So Gamin starts pestering and following So-hyun everywhere, dropping hints that he really wants to study together. Eventually, Se-hyun decides to tutor him on math just to get him off of his back, and this is when he realizes what we had found out before. Our handsome protagonist is dumb. Sehyun is surprised on why someone who is so bad academically desperately wants to study, and Gamin tells him that his dream has always been to study and go to college, and he would really want to do it together. Taken aback, Sehyun is like, nah. First of all, brother, you are stupid. Why would I want to pair myself with you? Second of all, even if I want to study, this school wouldn't allow me because the real villain of the show made the system up to make students fighters instead of learners. Third, I don't even want to study. Gamin then looks him in his eyes and tells him that he knows he is lying because Sehyun has all the characteristics of a student who studies. He also showed him his report card where we find out that Sehyun is actually smart, being the top second student in the school. Can you guess who the top student, like the first top student in the school is? Drum roll, please. Do. I know you don't know, so I'm just going to tell you. It's the real villain of the show, P. Hanul. If anyone says this man's not hot, that's a lie. This man too hot. Anyways, Seyun is not bought into the study group idea, and while he tries to shake off Gamin, he ends up putting himself into serious trouble with the minor villain. If the minor villain is this bad, how worse is the main villain? Well, watch the show to find out. Han Kyung-sem hears the commotion, and when she tries to go and help out, Gamin stops her and reminds her he needs to be the one to save Sehyun so that they would start the study group together. This is when the webtoon starts coming to life. Look at the visuals. And the music, don't even get me started. Whoever chose the music for this show was a genius, a literal genius. So, despite Gamin saving Sehyun, he doesn't appreciate it because he feels that everything would have been over if he had just endured the beating. So he decides to go back, but now the minor villain is no longer interested in him. He wants to know who saved him. Desperate to hide Gamin from the minor villain, Sehyun endures the beating, but his knight in masked face saves him with one kick. Literally one kick. If you save me like that, I'm riding your tailcoat for the rest of my life. But Sehyun is like, no, I'm not joining your study group because I know you're also afraid of being bullied. Later that night, we see Kim Se-hyun and his deadbeat father, who also discourages him from studying despite the fact that he knows his son wants to study. Oh, and if you are a Korean and you've gotten to this point, you see that? Yeah, that and Macaulay. If you could get me that, I'd really appreciate it. Thank you in advance. So continuing, that night we also learned that Gamin had always wanted to join a study group, but no one wanted him. He was so heartbroken that he decided to make his own study group in high school, but it was not going as easy as he had hoped. The next day, Gamin goes to school broken-hearted because he had been rejected the previous day by Sohyun. But he enters class only to find that Sohyun had left notes in his locker. Obviously, this brightens up our protagonist's mood because finally he would be able to study, or so he thought. Guess what? Guess what happens? Drum roll, please. Do 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 do. Since you have not watched the show, let me just tell you. The minor villains appears fuming. By now he has now realized that the masked knight who bet him yesterday was Gamin. He sends everyone out so he can deal with our protagonist, and for the first time we see Sohyun hesitant about leaving Gamin by himself. Finally, we now see him slowly softening towards Gamin, but our protagonist assures him he will be fine. This casualness pisses off the minor villain, and he decides to light up the precious book that Gamin had just received. At the moment, no one knew that our protagonist is basically the human embodiment of I'm not locked in here with you, brother, you are locked in here with me. Remember how I said this is a webtoon coming to life? Yeah. Look at the scenes. Like the minor villain was getting smoked. This is just the first episode. Imagine all the fights in the other episodes. Also, you see these guys? They are my storytelling idols. No one tells a better story of the show like they do. Eventually, Sehyun gives in and joins the study group, and over the next couple of episodes, more students join the group, including two high school girls. Yeah, you should watch the show to see how study group comes together and if they manage to study, and finish school. After watching the show, you can come back and tell me in the comment section what number our dumb protagonist ends up being at the end of the show. Like, subscribe, share, and comment what you loved about the video and what you loved about the show. And also tell me what other show you would love to recommend. Quairini!